Was Lori Vallow manipulated by Chad Daybell? And cameras in the courtroom? What's changed? Letecia Stauch found guilty. Brian Kohberger attorneys say, turn it over. Some brotherly love? What is it with people killing their spouses lately? And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment and hit that little bell for notifications so that you know when we put up new content or go live. And remember, let's support the people that support Crime Talk. Go to crimetalksearch.com. Sign up for that background subscription service today. When you sign up, you can do as many background searches of anyone in the United States. Anyone in the United States, as many people as you desire. And that report is literally generated while you wait, and it's going to have information about whether they're on one of those public registries, if you know what I'm talking about. Do they have a criminal history? Do they have bankruptcies? Do they have judgments against them? Are they telling you the whole truth about maybe something they're not so proud about? Go and check them out. Go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for May 9th, 2023, and begin with the docket. First, Lori Vallow. Guess what? Judge Boyce put out an order today saying that he's received multiple requests from various media outlets to obtain approval to record and broadcast the reading of the verdict in this case, the Lori Vallow case. Now, prosecution hasn't arrested yet, but they're getting close. And the court said, hey, I issued a memorandum back in September of 2022 prohibiting video and photographic coverage and removed any video coverage of the court proceedings in this case because he was concerned that it would result in an unfair trial. Now, we can save it for a different day about that, because have we heard or seen really anything that was so shocking that if it had come out, it would have resulted in an unfair trial? Well, it's come out at trial. And I don't think anyone would say it's been unfair at this point, except maybe possibly Lori Vallow. That's about it. So the court will then basically reverse himself, and he will broadcast through the court's official YouTube channel the verdict in this particular case when that is available. We'll find out at the exact same time. But one thing you can be sure of, we will bring it to you live. And to keep with issuing orders, Judge Boyce also issued a decorum order in the case, basically saying, limited space in the actual courtroom. There's the overflow room that we went to. Crime Talk, yes, we still have our little commemorative ticket that got us into the overflow room there. And but basically said there'll be no signs of cheering, emotion, sadness of any kind when the verdict is in fact read. And that's normal. That should take place in any given case. It's court. There's supposed to be a certain amount of decorum. It's just court. It's supposed to be that way. When you stop treating it like it's something special, well, then it turns into just everyday stuff. And then the next thing you know, you got people showing up for court looking like they're changing the oil on their car. And, they need to take it serious. So I'm all in favor of that in this particular case. Now, the attorneys for Lori Vallow, Mr. John Thomas, began cross-examining the retired Special Agent Hart late yesterday afternoon. And Mr. Thomas asked Special Agent Hart if the thousands of text messages reviewed from Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's iCloud account also showed daily activities and not just messages with Chad and getting into the sexual nature. And Mr. Hart responded, well, yes, of course they did. Mr. Thomas then asked whether he thought Vallow Daybell was a good mother. Well, that was a loaded question. What he said was, well, with the exception of, basically her kids winding up dead, I guess she was a good mom. Mr. Thomas then repeatedly questioned Mr. Hart about whether Chad Daybell's belief that he mentioned to Lori Vallow in the text message could be considered fantasy. Mr. Hart said that while some of Chad Daybell's beliefs or writings were fantasy, all three of the people, Tammy, JJ, and Tylee, who Chad Daybell said had low death percentages, well, they in fact died. So maybe some truth to that fantasy. Anyway, both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and had some not directly focused on the church's beliefs that people could be possessed by dark spirits and that spirits would need to be cast out. Hart said that the Lori Vallow also believed people had death percentages along with Chad Daybell, and the lower an individual's percentage, then the closer that person was in fact to death. Now, Special Agent Hart said that Chad Daybell used religious concepts to manipulate others, and when Thomas asked Mr. Hart whether those manipulated by Chad Daybell could have included Lori Vallow, Hart responded that at times it could. At times. Which we always said that was kind of the theory that the defense should probably take, that Chad was the master manipulator and manipulated Lori Vallow. Maybe the defense team's actually watching CrimeTalk. They should have. We could have told them to object earlier to those slideshow presentation summaries. Anyway, not to be outdone, the prosecution jumped back up and asked whether evidence showed that Vallow manipulated Chad Daybell and Alex Cox, which of course Mr. Hart responded, obviously, yes. The trial continues, but we're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can listen to every day of the audio that's being allowed to be distributed that we are bringing to you every night. Frank, the hardest working man in show business, puts that up within minutes of actually receiving it. So sometimes it comes late, some days it comes early. Be patient. We're working on it. Next, Letecia Stauch. Now, if you were here yesterday, you know Letecia Stauch was found guilty. We brought it to you live. We brought it to you in a sense that I think the judge nailed it yesterday. But let's give the recap for those who didn't join us. The El Paso County jury yesterday convicted Letecia Stauch for the murder of 11-year-old stepson Gannon Stauch back in January of 2020. Like I said, she was found guilty of all counts, including first-degree murder, murder of a child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, tampering with physical evidence, and tampering with a deceased human being. The first two counts merged because they basically are the same offense, and then the other two counts the court made consecutive. Now, the judge admonished Letecia Stauch for claiming mental illness as the reason for her actions and said that it did a disservice to those who actually suffer from mental illness. The court also noted that she has shown no remorse whatsoever during this entire process. I don't know. That's a good summary of what happened. Guilty of everything, no remorse. But Letecia Stauch wanted to see if she could get placed in one of the two prisons, and the judge says, yeah, I'm not going to designate anything. That's up to the the Department of Corrections in this particular case. So she got a fair trial. Didn't quite work out for her. Not that I thought it was going to. And the judge explained it. So if you want to take a look at that, we'll put a link below to the verdict and the sentencing hearing yesterday. It was actually quite moving when the victims in the case spoke. They waited 3 years for justice for Gannon Stauch. Next on the docket, Brian Kohberger. His public defender says, turn it over. And what is she talking about? Well, she's filed a motion. His public defender is Ann Taylor. She filed a motion to compel discovery in the Letecia County court last week, claiming the prosecutors have yet to turn over crucial evidence that she believes could help vindicate her client. That's right, prove him not guilty. Needless to say, Mr. Kohberger wants to see the video footage from his arrest, any notes from his interrogation, and details about how police tested the DNA at the scene of the University of Idaho murders. Pretty routine stuff. Surprised it hasn't been turned over yet to date. We'll see how that goes. Well, in the motion, Ms. Taylor writes that despite filing 2 supplemental requests for discovery, prosecutors have yet to turn over crucial evidence in the case, including the reports, notes, recordings, and photos that she believes contain exculpatory evidence. For those who don't know, exculpatory evidence are any evidence that would reduce the guilt of the defendant in this particular case. Remember, the prosecution has a duty to turn over all exculpatory evidence. So the defense team has asked the judge to step in because the prosecutor won't voluntarily turn this over or hasn't done so yet. And they included their first request dating back to February 3rd. And as most people know, Brian Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the stabbing deaths of the 4 University of Idaho students, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Zaina Kernodle, and Etha Chapin. Mr. Kohberger has entered a plea of not guilty to all 4 counts. And these items that she is requesting specifically include all body cam and dash cam footage from officers involved in the search and arrest of Mr. Kohberger in Pennsylvania, copies of lab reports detailing the forensic evidence collecting and analysis of items recovered at Brian Kohberger's parents' home, trash cans and other receptacles, and Mr. Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra, all lab testing, all recordings and notes from the interrogation of Mr. Kohberger by Brett Payne of the Moscow Police Department, and all police reports, audio and video evidence, and any recorded statements related to Mr. Kohberger's arrest and incarceration in Pennsylvania. She's also requesting for the training records for multiple officers whose names have been redacted, recordings and photos from redacted events which contain exculpatory evidence, according to Mr. Kohberger's lawyer. The judge has not ordered the prosecution to respond as of yet, and the defense is requesting a 10-minute hearing on the matter before the preliminary hearing, which is scheduled for June 25th. A hearing has also been scheduled for later this month to address 2 requests to lift the gag order in this case. The first challenge comes from Shannon Gray, the lawyer representing the Gonsalves family. The second comes from over 25 news organizations wanting access to the court files. Now, Mr. Kohberger and his legal team previously stated in court pleadings that the gag order is necessary and should stay in place, arguing that it would make it hard for the murder suspect to receive a fair trial. I don't think these gag orders help in any way, because the law isn't that we need to have everybody not be aware of the case. It's just that they can put aside what they've read and make their decision based upon what is in evidence in court. So that's the legal standard. I say access to the courts, turn on the video cameras so everybody can see how this important branch of government works. And people are always a little bit better when they're on camera, a little bit nicer when they're on camera. If things are done in closed proceedings and nobody knows how things are going to take place, well, let's just say they try to get away with stuff on both sides. Next on the docket, a little brotherly love. Kind of hope this doesn't happen to me someday. Anyway, police say that a 66-year-old man from Long Beach, California, drove some 700 miles to his brother's home in Utah. Well, he was armed with a handgun, and it had 23 fully loaded magazines, a shotgun with 150 shotgun shells, before he actually killed his brother on his front doorstep, before also injuring the sister-in-law, and then set the home on fire. And then he ultimately died in a police shootout. What the heck? Anyway, the Weber County investigators released the ring camera footage and the body cam footage from one of the responding officers in regards to the April 27th incident, showing the moments that Jeffrey Roberts showed up at brothers Scott Roberts' Utah home. Now, due to the graphic nature of the footage, we are not going to show it here. After ringing the doorbell, Jeffrey calmly tells his brother he's there to see their mother. And once he was told that she was in Missouri and had been for about a year, Jeffrey then pulls out the handgun and begins firing. A neighbor called 911, and Roberts can be seen going in and out of the home while talking to someone on his phone. At one point, he's pictured holding a shotgun and a large bag. He also tells someone on the other end of the phone to empty my bank accounts quickly as you can. During the attack, Scott's wife, Jody, was also shot. Fortunately, she survived, and according to police, Robertson used road flares to start a fire inside the house. By the time the police arrived at the scene, the fire was already roaring out of one of the home's windows, while smoke billowed from the front door. Now, the Weber County Attorney's Office said Roberts began shooting at authorities surrounding the home and can be seen in doorbell footage firing towards the street. During the shootout, he was shot in the head and killed. I don't get it. I just don't get it. What is going on? And we've got another case from Utah. This is involving spouses. What is it with Utah and spouses winding up dead? A mom is accused of poisoning her husband last year while she was promoting the kid's bereavement book she wrote after he died as recently as a month ago. That's right. Corey Richens is accused of murdering her husband, Eric, in their home in Camas, which is a town near Park City, Utah, last March. Police believe she gave him a lethal dose of fentanyl disguised in Moscow Mule cocktail that she prepared for him. Now, in the weeks and months beforehand, she tried to make herself the sole beneficiary of his life insurance policy. He had changed his will and power of attorney to give his sister full control and was even worried that his wife was trying to kill him, according to a police search warrant. Now, Corey remains in the custody of the Summit County Sheriff's deputies awaiting her next court appearance. And last month, she appeared on a local TV station to promote her book, which sells for $14.99 on Amazon, I might add, Are You With Me? Her arrest comes just 2 months after that of Mormon dentist Jim Craig, who is suspected of poisoning his wife to death in Colorado. Now, in the years before his death, Eric told his family he feared his wife was trying to kill him. There were 2 occasions when Eric became volatilely ill after having drinks or dinner with his wife. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if there's not a reason to get CrimeTalk search, I don't know what is. If you think someone may be trying to harm you, they're probably trying to harm you. Just saying. Check them out. Go to the police. I got an idea. For everybody else, don't harm anybody. And finally on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. An unidentified Florida man was locked up early Tuesday morning after deputies say they found him with methamphetamine in his M&Ms outside a Winn-Dixie in Florida's Panhandle. An arrest affidavit says a deputy on patrol in a marked police car spotted a green Ford Ranger parked near the dumpster outside a supermarket in Pensacola, Florida, around 1 a.m. The deputy approached the driver and asked what he was doing there. The suspect answered that he was eating a sandwich and he was going to head home really soon because he lived nearby. Well, needless to say, the officer checked his license and revealed that he had a warrant. The man was handcuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car, and the deputies then asked if the suspect had anything on him. The unidentified man admitted that he had a bag tucked in his sock, and inside the bag was a white crystal substance that later tested positive for methamphetamine. Another deputy arrived, and a canine named Rocket searched the car. That's right, located the package of M&M Minis in the driver's door pocket, and inside the candy container was a burnt spoon, syringe, and a cut straw with residue, which were submitted into evidence. Needless to say, the Pensacola man was arrested and charged with possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, drug paraphernalia, and failure to appear in court. He remains in custody on a $1,250 bond. Just so we're clear, ladies and gentlemen, don't do drugs. They're bad for you. They're illegal. You'll go to jail. Don't do that. And yes, unidentified Florida man, that's right. When the dog shows up, they're going to search everything, including that little M&M's container. Just saying. You know better. But at least it wasn't on your person. I guess you got that going for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.